Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold and we're doing this again. We are going to be doing the ice spells tier list, and there's a bunch. I've got 34, I think it is, spells here. I got like all the damage ones, really just all the relevant ones, and I also threw in a couple of the utility spells that I thought should be here, just so I can rank them all. So let us get started. So, first off, Abominable Weaver. This, I love it. I love Abominable Weaver. I'm going to go ahead and put it in A. Actually, no, I'm going to put it in S. A-Bomb is going in S because it is the only existing shadow hit and shield, which, you know, for those unaware, is like really, really good. So, Abominable Weaver, you know, it does pretty decent damage. It's Ice's Dartmoor spell, and I'll be putting it in the S tier just because it's real good damage and it protects you. You can just, you know, send this out whenever you want and be protected. It's never a bad move to A-Bomb in this game if you're an Ice. Angry Snow Pig. I'm thinking I'm going to put this in the Celestial Intervention tier, I'll be honest. If it stole the shield before the hit, and there is a spell in here that does that, but if it did, it would be way better. Maybe if you're against like a storm boss that uses Glacial Shield, I don't know, but yeah, Angry Snow Pig is going in the Celestial Intervention tier. Celestial Intervention itself will also be going here because this is like actually the worst spell in the game. Look at that. I mean, it's like a gambit type deal. This was like one of the first gambit spells, quote unquote, that was ever created. And basically what it does is it will heal you for 230 health per shield sacrifice, and it's a maximum of 3 on yourself. I don't think I need to really talk about why this has its own tier below everything else, but yeah, this is the worst spell in the game, if you were to ask me. Climaclysm, I'm gonna go ahead and put that in C tier, just because it's a good like shad hit for 4 pips, but like Scorching Scimitars in the last one, it's only good if you only have, you know, 4 pips in the shad. So because I mean, otherwise you would just use A-Bomb, or you would use, you know, Shatterhorn down here. So yeah, Climaclysm, it's gonna go in the C tier here. Cooldown, I don't know. Cooldown, it's like it's like well, you would much rather just use a spell like, you know, Stormzilla or like Mass Triage or something, some type of deal like that. So it's going to go in the Celestial Intervention tier just without a shadow of a doubt. Count Crocula is going to go in the S tier. It is a staple. All of the Wallaru spells are staples. Highly, highly, highly recommend carrying this in your deck if you are an Ice. Deathly Depths, C tier. That's just where I'm going to put it. It's like the Path B here is a good blade counter, but it makes storm-specific weaknesses. So yeah, I don't know about all that. Deer Mousetrap, the Ice Divum, I don't know. I'm thinking D tier just for this one, because it's like the trap is actually kind of nice. It's 40%, but you can't really use this with buffs, like existing buffs, unless you have like, I don't know, an already existing blade or 2 of the same blade on yourself, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and put Deer Mousetrap in the D tier. Freeze Ray, this is S tier. Undoubtedly, this is S tier. Freeze Ray is Ice's, well, I don't want to say it's Ice's best shad AoE. You'll see why later. But Freeze Ray, it's like if you get this to 8 pips, it is so good, because it does so much damage for those 8 pips in the shad. It is way better than Snowball Barrage when you're like at 8 pips. So it's like, for that reason, it's like it's sort of a good round 3 to 4 type hit. So, you know, you could Blade Frenzy send this, or even Blade Feint send this, because it would be 8 pips, so you could give up the 1 new pip on a feint. So yeah, Freeze Ray is going to be in the S tier for those reasons. Frostbite, my beloved, I'm putting this in the A tier. It does so much damage. It's like, for what it is, it's really, really great. I mean, it got buffed, I think, in 2020, around there when they did that whole spell audit, so that's kind of nice. So it's like, this is such a good card for Ice to have. Like, it's 5 pips, and it does all of that damage over 3 turns. Like, I really, really like this a lot. Frozen Armor. Call me crazy, but I'm going to put this as high as the C tier. Because you could put this on any of your teammates or yourself, and 175 absorb per pip is honestly kind of good if you use it at like max pips. And it's like, the general idea of just absorbs in general, it's not that great of a concept, but for what it is, it's like 175 per pip. It's like, if we were to use that at 14 pips, let me do some math real fast. 2,450 absorb. It's like, I don't know about you, but that's I don't think I'll be putting it any lower, just because it's that good, and you can put it on anybody. So it's like, if you were to put this on your team's hitter, it would be just like super, super good, because it's like they can tank a lot better. It's like giving somebody extra health, that type of deal. It's not like a heal, but it's a cushion. So I don't know. I wish absorbs were better, I guess. But for what Frozen Armor is, I like it, so it'll be in the C tier. Handsome Fomori. This is not a bad spell. I kind of like it. I'll put it in, actually, the B tier, because if I recall, yeah, after Winter Moon got its pip cost increased, this became Ice's best, like, turn 1 single hit. So yeah, this is gonna go in the B tier. I like it. It just does a lot of damage. The mantle is kind of whatever, but it does good damage. It's good for what it is, you know. If I'm doing like a daily assignment and I find one mob sort of off to the side, I'll pack this and try and get it off the first round. So Handsome Fomori will go in the B tier for that reason. Ice Armor. This is going in the Celestial Intervention tier. It's like, you can fizzle it if you don't have 10% accuracy, which is kind of crazy. And you can only put it on yourself, and it's literally just a worse version of Frozen Armor. You just get this earlier in the game. So Celestial Intervention tier without a shadow of a doubt there. Legion Shield, after it got buffed, I think it's worthy of A tier. I will be so real. I think it's worthy of A tier, because it's like before, when it was only like a 30 to 35% shield, I would have put it maybe in the B tier, but now it's basically like a mass tower for just 1 pip. It's like, this is a good spell. It's like, I know that a lot of mobs and bosses, they have a lot of pierce these days, but 45% is 45%, so I like it. I like Legion Shield just for, 1 pip. Like, it's a good card to have in Ice's arsenal. Next up is Reindeer Knight, and I'll honestly put this in the A tier just because it's got the same pip cost as Count Crocula, so this is a good, turn 1 type deal, and it actually does like really good damage. I think this is like 560 in total for 5 pips, which is really amazing for Ice, but the problem is the enchant gets divided onto the overtime, so yeah, it's I would use this over Count Crocula if that wasn't a thing, but it is a thing, so it's going to end up in the A tier while Crocula is an S. But otherwise, this is a really, really great spell. It's like Reindeer Knight it's real good. I like it. So it'll go in the A tier. It's kind of nice just to have in the early game. I wish I had it on my budget walkthrough character, but like a well, but it's pretty good. Scion of Ice. This one is a bit iffy, I'll be honest. I I might leave it in the B tier here just because it is Ice's strongest hit. Like, even just at base, like 930 is better than what Lord of Winter's high end does. But it's like the conditional that can make it do like really, really good damage. It's just hard to really keep because you need to be at 90% health or more. And when you get this before Imperia Part 2, that's sort of at the point where it's like bosses are gonna get you below 90% by the time you can use it. So I don't know. I think this is it's a good spell like for the base, but if the conditional was a little bit better, I would definitely put it higher. So I don't know, maybe like 80, 85. I don't know, but I'm not really holding out hope for this spell to receive any sort of buffs just because it's a legacy type deal. But oh well, Scion of Ice will be in the B tier for now. Shatterhorn. This I'm going to put an S just because of what it can become when you get this to 7 pips. This does absolutely mass at 7 pips. I can't remember what it was exactly. I don't have the game open, but Shatterhorn, you know, it does really good damage if you have it fully maxed out. So highly recommend maxing this out. It is the best shadow hit that Ice has in terms of damage. It's like you're gonna see Climacalism is the only Ice shad spell that doesn't end up in S, like quick spoiler, but it's like Ice really has good shad spells. Like, I will say that right now, and I would always recommend having like at least 2 pieces of shad gear as an Ice, just so that you can use these spells much easier. And I mean, yeah, man, it's like this at 7 pips, it does outclass Scion of Ice with 7 pips in the shad. So highly recommend keeping your hands on Shatterhorn, getting your hands on a bunch of spellements. You know, you can farm those throughout Caramel, Lemuria, Novus, and Wallaru through the 4th arc, and it's just really, really good. It's Ice's strongest single target hit, so would recommend there. Snowball Barrage to follow it right up. We have Ice's strongest hit just in general. I'm surprised it's an AoE, but this is just, it does so much. I mean, 95 damage per pip to all enemies. It is very easy to see why this is in the S tier, and you honestly get it at kind of a good time. You get it late in Polaris, which is pretty good. You can just, you know, set this up. You can get the shad with your shad gear from like Darkmoor and whatnot, and it's you can just send it and it'll do absolutely mass. And I would recommend to all of my fellow Ice Wizards out there to pack this as you're questing. I would say pack a Crocula, maybe a Giant, and then a Snowball Barrage. Just because, you know, it's like even though Giant got buffed, it can still be good because it's like if your Giant doesn't kill, then you can have this as sort of a follow-up, and it will do better damage. So would recommend Snowball Barrage. It's like an absolute staple to have in your deck. S for staple, if you will. So Snowdrift. For what it is, I actually like this. I'll put it in the C tier just because it's like it's like the target has to make the move first and then you can steal it. But, you know, Snowdrift, I like it. It's good at what it does. That is for sure. It's just that what it does is not super groundbreaking. Winter Moon. Now that its pip cost has been increased, I'm going to put it in the D tier. It's just not that great. It used to be like A to B, that type of deal, because it was only 5 pips, and it did like good damage for those 5 pips along with the stun. But since it's 6 pips, it's going to end up in the D tier. That's how it goes. That's just where we are at. Blighthound. Now this, I'm also going to put it in the D tier. I'll be so honest. It's this spell, because it's like my budget walkthrough character, you know. I honestly preferred to use Ice Wyvern back to back than to have this in, because it's like you could do you have higher burst potential with like Wyvern and stuff. So it's like if you have 2 Wyverns, you know, you can use those in quicker succession than, you know, like a Blighthound into something else. So, you know, it's a lot of pips for the level you get it at. So I don't know. I'll be putting it in D tier, and then by the time, you know, you get good enough power pip chance to really put this to use, that's when you get Colossus, which is coming up soon, and that spell is just better. So yeah, Blighthound will be in the D tier. Blizzard, I am gonna put this in the B tier just because it's like Ice has better like lore type spells with Count Crocula and Reindeer Knight. Blizzard is good at what it does early on, but again, these two just outclass it as you go along, and then Frost Giant coming up, it's like after its recent buff, definitely just gonna way outdo Blizzard. So yeah. Colossus, this actually got buffed, I think in 2020, could be mistaken, but basically it does a bit more damage than it used to do, and for that reason, I will be putting it in the C tier. It's good for a while, you know, but it's like with Frost Giant's buff, it's not as great. It's like Colossus, it's good in Dragonspire, as I've found out from my budget walkthrough character, but yeah, after that, not so much. After you get Frost Giant, you're not going to be using this, but for, you know, around the time you get it, this is a good spell. And so is Evil Snowman, actually. This, for when you get it, I'm actually going to put it in the B tier. It is the weakest out of all of the 3-pip spells, but in terms of like for Ice, this does so much more. It is such an upgrade from Snow Serpent, and this really, really helped me in like Crocotopia. So Evil Snowman, it'll go in the B tier. That's how I see things there. Frost Beetle, I don't know. I'm going to put it in the D tier. I love you, Frost Beetle, but it's like you're an OG, but D tier is where you're going to end up. It's the weakest out of the, or tied for the weakest technically out of all of the rank 1 spells. Its Path B is actually kind of nice, but yeah, I'm mostly creating these on Path A. So yeah. And now for Frost Giant. Oh baby. The devs finally caved and buffed the spell from 460 with the stun to 570 in the stun. It could have gone higher, but for now, I'll take what I could get. This is a staple card for Ice to have in our arsenal. Highly, highly, highly recommend packing this again. It used to be, it's like Crocula into Blizzard would outclass this, but now, you know, it's sort of back. It's like 570 ice damage. Even though the stun is still attached, it's still really, really good. Heavily recommend Frost Giant. It's so much better than it used to be. Ice Wyvern is going to go in the C tier for the same reason that Colossus did. Yeah, I mean, or honestly, I'll put it in the B tier just because it's like the low end is higher up compared to where Colossus is at. So it's like Wyvern, it's like even if you low roll, it'll do more damage comparatively to Colossus. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'm not making sense, but it's like 335 for 4 pips is better than 515 for 6 pips, if that makes sense. King Artorias. This spell, it was kind of a lifesaver for me in my first time going through Chrysalis, but now that Frost Giant has been buffed, I think it's going to go in, I'll put it in the D tier. I'll be so honest, I'm going to put it in the D tier. It's like, it's After Effect, it's not that great. It gives you a pip back, which is like, meh, but yeah, it's like the damage on it is a bit low, and I mean, it's still a good single hit, but I guess by this point you would have Lord of Winter, which is actually coming up next, and because of Lord of Winter's decent damage, I'll put it in the C tier. It's like, I'm starting to realize Ice doesn't really have that many great, like, single hit spells, so tough, I guess. So Lord of Winter will end up in the C tier. It's like, it's After Effect, it's kind of neat, but like it is with a lot of these spells, the After Effect doesn't really matter if the target is already dead. So yeah, Lord of Winter will go in the C tier, because after the Frost Giant buff, it is just more worth it to buff up into one of these than to go for like a Lord of Winter on the boss, for example. So, yeah. And then Snow Angel, I love this spell. I will be so honest, I love this spell, and this is one of those where it's like you can troll detonate the overtime to do a lot more damage. So this is sort of like an alternative path for an Ice Wizard to take. It's like even though Frost Giant got buffed, I probably won't be troll detonating any more Snow Angels, but it's still like an interesting thing that you can do. And maybe I'll get clowned on for putting this in the A tier, but just for what you can do with the spell, that's what's going to put it in the A tier for me. Snow Serpent, I'll put it in the D tier. I'll be honest, it's like you can use that like Thunder Snake from the 1 to the 7 schools, and it will just outclass this. It's like it's a pip less, and for the time that you get this spell, that Thunder Snake probably just going to be better because you can combo it into like a Fire Cat from the same wand, and you'll be good. But yeah, Snow Serpent is going to end up in D. For Thieving Dragon, yeah, it's going to go in the Celestial Intervention tier. It's like I was talking about Angry Snowpig earlier. It was like Snowpig, it would have potential if it did this sort of damage, but it stole the ward before. But this does steal the ward before, and the damage is just so just awful. And it's like, the new Path B is good because it can destroy auras, but for this, the base version, it is not good at all whatsoever. So Thieving Dragon is going to end up in the Celestial Intervention tier just because the damage is so ungodly horrible. So yeah, Celestial Intervention tier it is. For Cold Iron, or I guess Volcanic Golem, I'll put it in C. That's a decent little 4-pip, like, hit and shield type deal. Wyvern is definitely better at what it does, though. So, yeah, Golem will end up in the C tier for that. And then the final spell that I will be putting on this tier list is Woolly Mammoth. And I'll be honest, this kind of hits in Azteca. It's good. It does enough damage, like more than Frost Giant, to where I would say this is good to use if you're in Azteca. But yeah, I mean, Woolly Mammoth, it's just a good spell. But I wouldn't really put it any higher than B, just because it does eventually fall off, and then Lord of Winter will replace it. So yeah, it's nice for while you have it, though. So anyway, this is going to wrap up this tier list. Thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.